I really want to sit down and reflect on 2023. So I had the loveliest chat with my patrons last night. It was our festive video chat and we each brought an item with us that we felt summed up our year. And then we shared the item and why we felt it summed up our year and just reflected a bit on the year and what we might like to leave behind or carry forward into 2023. And off the back of that, I really want to sit down and reflect in more detail and start to put together my plans for 2024. For the last couple of weeks, I've been really just mulling things over in my mind about how I feel the year has gone, what I might want to prioritise next year, and what I might choose as my word for the year, which I think I have decided on. But what I don't want to do is run before I can walk. I don't want to skip ahead straight to let's plan 2024 without really thinking about what I can learn from this year and also just celebrating the things that have happened this year. So I'm going to take you with me through that process and do a little series of videos showing how I reflect on the year and how I get ready for 2024. So the first thing I want to do is put together a bit of a timeline of the year and plot it out in my bullet journal. And I want to do one for work and one for personal. And just write down some key events that have happened. It might be things I've achieved, things to celebrate, nice memories, maybe things that have been more difficult, and just get a sense of how the year has gone. Because as I'm trying to reflect, what's coming to mind is what's happened the last sort of 2-3 months. And it can be a little bit harder to think all the way back to January and where I was at that time and what even really happened. So let's get the bullet journal and plot out my year. Get cozy. Not this cushion. There we go. Too many cushions. You will have just seen me shaking out my blanket. And if you wondered what on earth I was doing, I haven't sat over here for a while and I wanted to make extra sure that there were no spiders because it's spider season, and when I rearranged things in here the other day, I found 2 big ones. So when I don't tidy up, sometimes they make little homes and then I have to disturb them, but they make me jump. Anyway, I've had such a lovely cozy afternoon journaling. As you can see, it's pitch black out here now. But I've really been thinking through what I've done this year, which I have to say took ages. And what I would really like to get into the habit of next year is like the spread that I've put together here that I'll show you. I'd really like to get into the habit of filling it in at the end of each month in terms of what I've achieved and like what are my big wins for the month, what's like the significant events that have happened, good or bad, because there probably are things that I've missed. But basically what I've done is I've got this spread here, which I'll pop up on the screen for you, and I did one for work and one for personal, and I like to do two separate ones because it got me to think of more personal things, because I think the work events more easily came to my mind because I suppose I'm always working towards milestones and goals in my business in a different way, and so when I reach those or not, then that's like a kind of easy to measure thing for me and it comes to mind quite quickly, whereas the personal, yeah, it forced me to really give that equal attention, which I really liked. So yeah, that's what I did. I basically did a three-pronged method. So as well as stuff I could just remember, I went through my Instagram stories, so I went through my story archive and just let it play for the year while I was journaling and just kept glancing at it, because something I often do is chat on my stories about my day and what I'm up to, sometimes personal as well as work. In fact, yeah, I'm quite open about sharing what I'm up to on there. So that was a really good one for me, to be able to almost flick back through a little video diary of what I said I'd been up to. Then I went through my calendar, and then for any extra work bits, I write a weekly post for my patrons of what they've got to look forward to that week and what's going on behind the scenes and what I'm working on. And so that was a really lovely one to be able to go back through those in certain months when I was thinking, I'm sure I did more this month, what else was going on? I could go back and look at what I said I was working on those weeks. So altogether, that was like a nice little record to reflect back on. And then I just filled in the events for each month, and I'm really quickly going to go through it with you. And hopefully you can listen to some of these things while maybe having a go at this yourself. So this is my work year. In January, I launched the self-care collection, which was the bulk of the products that had been in my advent calendar the previous year. It's the first and only advent calendar I ever did, and it was a lot of work. And so I released all of those products for public sale in January. Some of them, once they'd run out, that was it. And some of them were really popular and I carried on stocking them. And then I retired all my products that were not inspired by self-care. So it was January where I made the decision that I was really going to focus on self-care and positivity in my business, and that I'd got a bit too wrapped up in what other shops were doing and what I thought I should be doing, playing the comparison game, that kind of thing. And I drifted from my original goals in terms of that focus on self-care, and so I was like, right, I'm going to do a big cull across the shop, and that's what I did. And I got a lot clearer on my mission and brand values. So big changes right at the start of the year. Then in February, I rebranded my Patreon to Self-Care Together, with much more of a self-care focus in the Patreon community. And again, just made it so much clearer on what it is we were doing over there in the community. And then I went to my second ever planner event, which was the Palentine's Planner event in Peterborough, and I spoke on my first panel, which was about vlogging. Yeah, I was a bit nervous, but I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed taking my shop to the event and just taking part in it, because I love those events. March was a month where my Patreon community grew to 20 members, and I did a special downloadable print illustration, which was kind of inspired by the community, and I really loved doing that. I moved to a bigger display in Design 44 Trentham, so I'd been in there since the previous October, and it was the first shop I got my products stocked in, and I took the plunge and I messaged them and said, do you have any bigger spaces coming available in the shop, when it was kind of the changeover period and people were coming and going. And I upgraded to a bigger space, so that was very exciting. I launched the self-love collection, loved having another self-care related product launch, and then I did my first Patreon live stream where I swapped to the new format, which is where I design products live and people can join, hang out in the chat and give their feedback in real time while I'm designing stuff. And I remember that live stream, I was so nervous. I've never drawn in front of anyone before. I've never had to kind of do that and manage a live stream. What made me nervous was letting people in on the process of how I illustrate. And I was thinking, people will see that I'm a fraud, like I'm not a proper illustrator. And they'll see my messy, early, scrappy sketches instead of just seeing the pretty final product. But people loved it, and as they were enthusiastic and giving ideas, I was enthusiastic. And I remember coming off that live stream and I was just buzzing with excitement, and I thought, oh my god, I can't wait till next month to do another one. And I never thought that was how I was going to feel, and I still do them. So once a month, that's what we do, and more people have been coming every month, and I really love it, because then when the products come out, it's like there's a bit of everyone in there. I just love it. So I did that, and then I launched my second Skillshare class, which was about putting together a self-care menu for yourself. April, this is something I was really proud of. I launched 10 new stickers for Neurodiversity Celebration Week, and they were all inspired by my experience of being neurodivergent and other people's experiences that they shared with me, and other people who aren't neurodivergent might still relate to them if they experience anxiety or just different personality types or whatever it might be. But I think those people that are neurodivergent kind of really felt the spirit of them, and that was really lovely to see people loving those stickers. And I also did a giveaway where I asked people to comment what they liked about being neurodivergent, like what they liked about the way they saw and experienced the world as a result. And I just loved reading all the comments and seeing all the positivity about it, and just, yeah, being able to spread that. So that's what I did for that. And then I made a big decision in April to close my goodie box tier, which was my top tier on Patreon. So I did a bit of a reshuffle, and it's now just 2 tiers. And I decided to close the goodie box tier because I was essentially coming up with 6 collections of products a year that I poured all this time and love and care into, that the people that received it loved them, and I'm like so thankful for everyone who supported me and like got those collections. But it then meant that because they were Patreon exclusive, I couldn't really share them in the shop. And it meant that the time I'd spent on those collections meant that I didn't have the time available to work on collections available for general sale. So it was a hard decision because I felt like I was letting people down. It also wasn't profitable at all. I just loved doing it and loved being able to offer it as an exclusive, but there weren't enough hours in the day, and I just had to say to myself, it doesn't make business sense. You're losing time, you're losing money really by not being able to do the things that will generate more money, and all your time is going into something which is really lovely but can't be experienced by many people. So I made that decision, and it was a really hard decision, and I was really nervous about sharing it with my patrons. So April was the last box, and when I shared it with them, of course, they were really supportive and they completely understood, which is how they always are because they're fab. But it's just how I am. I don't like to feel like I'm letting people down. And once I start something, I find it quite difficult to stop and draw a line under it and say that isn't actually working as I thought. So I don't regret that decision at all. I actually think it was a really good decision. And I think you can see it by the amount of things I then fit in the rest of the year. So moving on to May, I ran a sale for my birthday, which I really loved. I was having real problems with manufacturers and with pin manufacturers in particular. I was trying to find a good pin manufacturer and was not doing a good job. And it's difficult. It's a really difficult one, trying to find manufacturers that you trust and you can build that good working relationship with. And so it was a really frustrating month as I was trying to get ready to launch my Positive Pants collection, and then the pins I received, 60% of them were unsellable and the manufacturer didn't really want to do anything about it. So yeah, it was definitely a testing time, but I managed to get there and I managed to launch the Positive Pants collection with a much limited number of pins, and I launched it at the Midlands Planner Meet. It was the first time I'd ever coincided a product launch and an event, and it worked really, really well. Obviously it was a lot more to do in one go, but I loved it. I also did a special bundle deal, so you could get the whole collection for a reduced price if you wanted everything. And that also worked really well, both at the event and afterwards when I launched it on my website. So that was something I took and carried forward. And I also released my wellbeing journal, which I created alongside my Patreon community, and it's a lovely product that just like helps you focus more on self-care each day, bit by bit. Love it. So I released that there too. And then June, I launched Lucky Dip boxes for the first time. I can't believe it's been 6 months since I launched the Lucky Dip boxes. So if you're not sure what you want from the website, but you know you want stuff, then you can buy a Lucky Dip box and I will send you a bunch of things. You can leave me little comments of things you like, favourite colours, if you like are a sticker person, or you know, whatever comment, and you always get a much higher value in the Lucky Dip boxes than the amount you've paid for it. So it's a really also cost-effective way to get some goodies. So I launched those. I moved my temporary office from the living room to the dining room, so I still wasn't in here at this point, even though I'd been living in this house 2 months. My studio was a nightmare because when we moved in, I was all excited to move in here. And then the previous owners had got these mats, like foam mats on the floor. And when we picked them up, we realised that the floor was rotting and there was no damp proofing underneath. And long story short, it was an expensive job of builders lifting the whole thing up, doing foundations and damp proofing, putting it back down, then getting the floor fixed, and then decorating and unpacking. So I still wasn't here, and because our living room furniture was arriving, I was booted out of there and I had to move to another temporary space in the dining room. So I also launched my lovely sleep masks ahead of the South West Planner Club event, which was a slumber party theme. So I had this gorgeous silk sleep mask. I've got my last 3, I think, are still available in the shop, and then they'll be gone. But yeah, I love mine. It's just so lovely. So I launched those, and then I started working with a new pin manufacturer, and I'm happy to say it's been good ever since. It's a lot more expensive, but I think this year was a big lesson for me in terms of you get what you pay for, and where I was trying to find the cheapest possible manufacturer, I got the cheapest possible quality and had to kind of go back to the drawing board. But I managed to find a supplier that I was really happy with. And then July, big busy month. So the 1st of July was Stationery Fest, and I took the shop. It was in Manchester for the day. It was such a busy day. I think like 780 odd people came through the door to shop stationery and all things stationery goodness. I had no idea it would be so busy. I think when I applied, it was estimated there would be 150 attendees. So smashed that. And I also gave a talk just to, you know, add to the list of things to do. I gave a talk on how to use your planners and journals for self-care. So it was a fab day. I loved meeting people, meeting fellow shop owners, meeting customers, friends, like, yeah, great day. Then I came back and I had to start getting ready for the Southwest Planner Club event, which was 2 weeks later. So yeah, talk about taking a lot on for myself. And I was also launching the Anti-Worry collection at the Southwest Planner Club event. So lots to do, but it was all worth it. The Southwest Planner Club event, again, was a lovely event to attend. Same sorts of things. Loved the activities and taking part in it. Loved meeting people, talking to people, catching up with people. Oh, all of it. And I launched my Anti-Worry collection, which I think has been your favourite collection all year. I think it's probably what had the most sales this year, I'd have to say. Yeah, loved creating it, and some of my favourite products are in that collection. And I then, just to cram something else in, Design44 opened a new shop in the Bullring in Birmingham, and they asked me if I wanted a space in there, so I absolutely leapt on that opportunity. Sadly, they are closing in January, but it's been a fab 6 months in there, and lots of people have seen my products that might not have come across them otherwise. So I was really excited to be in a second shop. Moving on to August, I finally moved into my new studio. It took forever to unpack and sort things out in here, and I've had a couple of rearranges since, as I've gotten to know how I use the space, what works, what doesn't. Yeah, I'm really happy with the studio how it is at the minute, and it keeps kind of evolving as I get new equipment or like new ways of working and whatever. But I'm really loving it. It's very cold in the winter, but we're working with it. Hence the fleecy shirt that I found yesterday that apparently has a thermal rating of 2. I can't tell you what that means, but I am quite toasty. I also launched the Self Care Cosmetics pin collection, which, yeah, I loved creating a coordinated collection of pins. It was the first time I'd done that, and for them, yeah, to all have this kind of beauty product cosmetic-y theme but have self-care messages in them. I really loved them, and I think people did as well, so I'm really proud of those. And I also gave the Unapologetically Me pin a little glow up, and I changed the design of it and re-released it. Then in September was another busy month. I mean, yeah, they've got busier as the year's gone on. I did a shop update of kind of bits. So it consisted of my wooden typewriter keyring, which I love, a bunch of new stickers, and all of my stickers being reformatted, which I'll come to, and my mini desk calendars, which I love. So I released them ready for 2024. I moved to having my stickers manufactured externally, which has been such a game changer. Talk about something else that was sucking up loads of time. On the rare opportunities that I now have to get my silhouette out and cut some stickers, I'm angry every time. And I was getting more and more irate with it, and it was just becoming something that was making me miserable. I always had no problems with it when I was a Windows girl, but as soon as I switched to Mac, no. Silhouette Studio and Mac just don't work together. There's all sorts of bugs that have been floating around for years and aren't fixed, and blah. And yeah, it was affecting the quality of the stickers, which I don't want. So it was another nudge in the direction to just say, come on, get these stickers manufactured now. And I'd been putting it off because it involved reformatting all my stickers ready to send to the manufacturers how they would need it. But yeah, has it been a blessing since I've done it? Oh, yeah. No more arguments with the silhouette, or at least very rare arguments with the silhouette. It's just brings me joy. Then I was approached by Curated Makers about a pop-up, which I was so excited about. They approached me and said, we've got a pop-up. We think it's going to happen in London Bridge. If it does, it'll be in 3 weeks' time. Are you interested? And I was like, yeah. However, I'm about to go away for a week. I was going to Skiathos, which is a Greek island. And so I was like, this timing's terrible. But I'm going to make it work because I don't want to give up the opportunity. And so that's what I did. As soon as I got back from holiday, I was like, boom, hit the ground running. Let's get these products labelled out, blah, blah, blah. And I am still in their store. It's open till January, I believe. And it's been great. Again, just amazing to get my products in front of more people that might not have otherwise been able to see them. So I'm really grateful for that opportunity. And then I also booked my first trade show that I will be attending in January, which I cannot wait to share more about with you when I talk about my 2024 plans. In October, I launched pre-orders for my very first wall calendar. That was a big project that I undertook quite late in the day, and if I do it again, which I would like to, I should really start it earlier. Don't I say this every year about products for Christmas, but there we go. I launched pre-orders for my wall calendar. I got my products stocked in Design 44 Derby, which is their third store, and a space became available, and I also am now stocked in there. And also the Curated Makers in London Bridge opened up, so that was 2 more cities where people could potentially see my products. And then I relaunched my Patreon podcast. I'm still unsure about the name of it. I'm calling it the Goal Getter Podcast. But basically, I interview a guest each month about goals that they've tried to work towards during their life and their journey through that and what they've learnt along the way. And the first guest was the lovely Emily Harvey-Art, and we just had this amazing chat. It didn't even feel like we were recording a podcast because it was just such a lovely chat. It was fab. Absolutely loved it. Still there if you want to have a listen. And then I also did something huge, which was to rebrand what was Plan, Inspire, Create into Sunshine Lane. And never has anything felt more right in my business. These last few months, it just feels like things make sense. And I know that's like vague and you might think, what do you mean? But when I started Plan, Inspire, Create, it was just a YouTube channel. I had no intention of it ever becoming a business. I was just lost and stuck and didn't really know what to do with my life after my physical and mental health had really taken a downward turn and I'd come out of employment. Yeah, and that's a whole nother conversation really about kind of the progress in all that time. But for about a year, I'd kind of felt like Plan, Inspire, Create isn't the right name for this business anymore because I've taken it in this self-care direction. It's not necessarily like when I first started, I did planner inserts and planner stickers in my shop, and now I still kind of do those things, but it's probably not what people would think of first, if that makes sense. I think I'm probably more of a stationery shop where you can find planner stuff than like a pure planner shop like other planner shops you see. And yeah, there were just loads of reasons why it didn't feel right to me, but I couldn't think of a name. And then when I thought of the name, I was like, it is Sunshine Lane, that is the thing. I worked with an amazing graphic designer. She came up with a gorgeous new look, which I've been loving for Sunshine Lane. And then since I switched everything over, which was a massive job, and there are still things that need sorting, it just feels right. It feels like it's so easy for me to explain to people what I do or for them to understand what I do when they come across my shop or my content. And my mum told me the other day, she was talking to some people at her work about what I did. She works in mental health, and they were like quite excited about this idea of bringing self-care messages to everyday items in your life and blah, 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 all the things that I do. And then when they said, what's the name? And she said, they were like, Sunshine Lane, even the name spreads joy. And I just felt really, like, it's such a little thing, but when she told me that, I just felt a bit emotional. I thought, you really made the right decision there, and, like, good for you for taking the plunge, because rebranding a whole business is a bit of a risk. You might just completely lose people that were following you before, and I've just loved it. And just, yeah, massive thank you to everyone for supporting me through it, and, like, the brilliant response. just such lovely kind words when I shared it and why I was doing it and whatever. So yeah, massive thanks. And so now I'm Sunshine Lane. And that was October. I think that's enough to be getting on with. Then November, I did an online market, the Joy of Indie Market. So it was like a little weekend market online. I liked doing that. I liked finding other small businesses as well as trying to get my business in front of more people. And then I launched my wall calendar. They arrived, I launched them, and they've been making their way out to people's homes. And I'm just really excited that each month it will bring this new positive illustration, and like, as well as being able to plan, it'll just give you that bit of positivity just all throughout the year. I've got mine up, I can see it in the background, and I'm really excited for people to have it in their home as well. I did a Black Friday sale where I decided to do a mad last minute product launch, and I launched Christmas decorations, pocket mirrors, which are really lovely gifts, and new keychains with my brand new heat press. I experimented with sublimation, which is like a brand new manufacturing process I'd never tried before, and I decided I was going to do it all at the last minute like some sort of crazy person. And then I got there and I was really pleased that I did, and people have been loving those new products. And then I did a fab interview with my mum for the podcast. She has had the most fascinating life, so many different careers, so many different experiences, and like she shared her experience of being a single parent, then what it was like after I left home and she retrained to be a nurse and kind of focused on herself and what she wanted rather than kind of putting me at the forefront. It's just such an interesting podcast. I'm so proud of her, so it's definitely worth a listen. And then we're into December, so I did a makers market in Derby, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed meeting and seeing people. Wasn't my most successful, but it was fine. And then I got my products stocked in 2 more shops, and Friends and the Modern Muse. If you go to my website, there is actually a page with all my stockists and you can see where you can find me in person. So I will link that below. And so obviously there's a bit of time left in December and I can add more things if anything else happens. But that's actually a journey to reflect on this year. I have fit in so much stuff, and that's not including the personal one, which I will share. I would definitely recommend sitting down and doing this, because I reckon you're probably thinking, that's so much, I bet I wouldn't have that much in mind, but I bet you actually would when you think about all the things you cram in to your daily and weekly and monthly, yearly life. So, but just from the beginning of the year, when like my products hadn't even been focused on self-care completely, to the end of the year where I've completely rebranded. My products are out in shops where people can see them as well as online. I've met so many amazing people. Oh, just all of it. I'm so, so, so grateful. And I'm proud of myself. Like, that feels a little bit cringy to say, and like, I think, oh God, I don't want to come across as like, I've done all these things. But I think an act of self-care is recognising when we've worked hard and when things have paid off or not paid off, but just that we tried and we kept trying. And I've tried a lot of things this year. Some things have worked, some things haven't. But I've tried and I'm really proud of myself for that. And I think and I hope that it's starting to pay off. So fingers crossed for 2024. And then my personal one, it was really nice to do this actually, because it was also like a way to record nice memories from throughout the year without it being like a full-on detailed picture-y extravaganza of a decorative spread in my journal. So January, I started the year by visiting Norway. We went to Tromsø, I think is how you say it, which is super like north of Norway, which is actually really long, and it was freezing. I think it was minus temperatures the whole trip. The purpose of the trip was to try and see the Northern Lights, which is something me and my husband had always wanted to do, and we did it. and it was amazing. I would never do it again because it was -29 and people were elbowing and not letting you into the fire, and I got so cold that I basically was pretty much crying on the bus back from where we were, going, I don't know what I'm gonna do, I don't know what I'm gonna do, because I couldn't warm up. And Liam later told me that he was really concerned, but I did eventually warm up, and yeah, treasured memories. And the rest of the trip was also really fun. I did a pottery workshop with my mum where we learnt to make ceramic flowers. I wish I had them in here to show you, but they're very pretty. I learnt to make ceramic flowers, and then we went back later and painted them. And I have them ready to put in the garden for next year, but if I put them out in winter, they just crack and stuff in the cold. And then I started another IVF cycle with embryos that had been frozen from a cycle that we had to abandon because I needed an operation. So yeah, we started that after we got back from Norway. I think I was taking medication while I was out in Norway, and then yeah, it like fully started when I got back. Then February, I went to see Strictly Ballroom with my mum, which is such a fab film, and we saw the show version with Kevin from Strictly was the main part, and Maisie Smith, is she, who's been on Strictly Come Dancing before, and that was really good, really, really good. They were both amazing, the rest of the cast was amazing. I love going and seeing shows and musicals. I just love things like that. Been lucky enough to do a few things like that this year, so that was a good one. And then we found out that IVF had been unsuccessful, which it's one of them, isn't it? I will come back to it, but I had felt really strongly during that last cycle that it wasn't the path for me. Like, if this wasn't successful, I didn't want to carry on, and if it was successful, I would never want to do it again. And when we found out I wasn't pregnant, there was this millisecond of like, maybe I can do another one, and I was like, no, I can't. I just don't want to. I don't want to. I'd spent 2 years with my hormones all over the place and feeling terrible and basically not doing much else because I felt too rubbish to actually live. And so I just decided I wasn't willing to put life on hold like that anymore and to just put my body through that. And Liam was 100% supportive of that. And we came to that decision together, and we've not looked back on that really. And I've since met people that have had such long IVF journeys that I can't even imagine, because I found that 2 years hard enough, really. It makes me feel quite emotional to think about. And I know it's a hard subject for a lot of people, but I also think it's important to talk about because people don't, and you can feel quite alone with it. But anyway, we kind of closed that chapter in February, and we just said we were just gonna take the pressure off for a bit, and we're just gonna live life for a bit. And that's what we did. And then I had some lovely family time. So I took my mum out for Mother's Day lunch at Appley Farm locally. They've got this really nice restaurant, farm shop, all that type of stuff. We went there, had a lovely lunch. I went back and we painted our pottery flowers. And then I also did an escape room with my mum and her partner and Liam, my husband. And so, yeah, we did some fun family time things that I really enjoyed. April, I had a lovely weekend away with my husband in Chester. I actually launched my neurodiversity stickers from the hotel room in the morning, and then we went about our day. Just lovely work-life balance. And then when we came back, we moved into our new home, which was so exciting. Totally never want to move house again. I have moved house 30 plus times in my lifetime. Don't want to do it anymore. If I move again, something's gone wrong. But we love it here, and I'm incredibly grateful. May is my birthday month, and I was really happy to have lots of little celebrations. So I celebrated with some of my friends, and they threw me a little mini tea party with, like, I had a birthday badge and like a sash and a little tiara, and they got me a cake that I could actually eat, because I can't eat dairy and struggle a bit with wheat. So yeah, that was really nice. I went segueing with my friend Jo, she's fab, for her birthday, which is the week before, and I fell off mine, told her that I thought I needed a little cry, and she was like, it's okay, and then I was like, oh, okay then, and I had a little cry just because of the shock of landing in a bush, in a nettle bush as well. But I was really glad that I pushed myself out of my comfort zone and gave it a go, and I'd probably do it again, to be fair. I had some meals out, I did an outdoor escape island thing, I had a birthday dinner, which was like a surprise. I didn't know my mum and her partner would be there, and Liam's parents would be there. I didn't know, I thought it was just us. And then, yeah, lots of lovely happy memories. And then I threw my back out, which was a bit of a sour end to the month. I was still living out of boxes. I was frustrated, trying to lug boxes about, find things that I needed, and it just went. And it was, I think, 2 days before the Midlands Planner event. My mum and my lovely patron Becca basically carried everything around for me on the day, because I couldn't lift things. Yeah, not the best timing. June, my new sofa's arrived. I don't know why this is newsworthy, but I wrote it down. I think because I'm thinking about, like, the process of just how I've been working on the house room by room. So the new sofa's arrived, which is why I got booted into the dining room for work. I looked after my mum's dog Millie for a week, which was lovely to have the two dogs together for a week. I did some more pottery painting with mum. It's been a very pottery heavy year. Not pottery heavy, like we've just done lots of nice pottery based activities, which is cool because it's not a craft that I'd really done much before, and it's something totally different from work, so that's really nice. It's something I wanted to do, more creative activities that weren't work related, they're just for fun. And then I lost somebody who had been important in my life, sadly, and didn't actually know that he'd been unwell. He knew that he only had limited time, but he hadn't shared that with a lot of people. So it was quite a shock, but it's really kind of hit home with me because he was somebody who wanted to live big and like have lots of experiences and try new things. And he always kind of said that when I retire, I'm gonna do this. And he had to retire early from ill health, and then he didn't really get to enjoy that retirement time, and he sadly passed away. So it really hit home that you've got to make the most of the time you've got and not push things, not put things off, not think you'll do it after, blah, blah, blah. Do it now. If you can do it now, do it now. And that's really hit home with me, and it stuck with me. But also that he did actually really make the most of the time as well, and he had so many amazing experiences. Like, his big thing was travel, and he travelled to so many amazing places, and he always used to say, not bad for a lad from a council estate in Doncaster, which, yeah, you got to give some credit. So yeah, sometimes with sad things, it actually puts things into perspective for you, and it refocuses you on what's the most important things. And I think that was definitely something that did that for me. And so in a way, I'm grateful for that. If that's an okay thing to say, like, obviously I didn't want that to happen how it did, but I'm just grateful for the lesson that I learned along the way. Yeah, I think you'll know what I mean. So that was June. July, I had a much needed break. I had a much needed break in the Lake District with my husband Liam. We just booked this little holiday Airbnb thing by the river, and we just chilled. and took it really easy. And this is probably a weird thing to write down, people might think, but I did my first magic puzzle jigsaw and I love them. It's a little puzzle company. If you're into jigsaws, I'm going to link it because they're absolutely fab. It's like a puzzle within a puzzle. Love them. And it's like a nice, slow activity that you can just chill and do. We did the jigsaw, we chilled out, we read some books, we watched some films, we just like, yeah, went for some walks, saw some new things. It was raining a lot, but it was fine. That made it more cozy inside. So we did that. And then I saw a neurologist about recurrent headaches, which is maybe a weird thing to write down, but it's actually a big milestone because my headaches are much more under control now. I had gone through a period where I'd had a constant headache for like 4 weeks, migraines popping up and down in there, like also tension headaches all over my skull, and I'd been experiencing them for a good few years, but I'd had like 4 weeks of no let up from it, and being able to see a neurologist and then getting that advice, getting new medication, having some acupuncture, things moving forward and like getting some relief from it. I'm barely getting headaches now. I'm barely getting migraines now. They're still there. They still pop up to say hi, but it's so much more under control. And so I'm really grateful for that. Didn't put that in my gratitude list that I've done, but it's fine. It's an extra one. August, we had family to stay. So we had the first family to stay in our new home. We finally had space for people to come and stay. And we had Liam's cousin, Steve, his partner, Faye, and their little boy, Abe. And they are just 3 wonderful people. And so it was just lovely to be able to spend an extended period with them. And then Liam's brother and his lovely partner, Jordan Kate, they moved to the Midlands. So they've been living down in London for a good few years, but they've now moved back closer to us, and so we're going to get to see them lots more, and we already have, and that is like really good news. So that was a milestone that I wrote down because, yeah, we're just loving having them in our lives more. September. Like I said in the work run through, I went to Greece, went to Skiathos, and had a lovely holiday, which was very rainy. Not what you want on a hot holiday, but we still had a lovely time with Liam's family for his mum's 60th. Sorry, I'm out on your age. Then I saw Jane's Acaster, which it was lovely to see some comedy. It was really funny. And then just before we went away, found out that it was Childless Not by Choice week. And that's not something I'd heard about before or like seen things doing the rounds on social media. But I did, and I decided to write a really kind of open and honest post about my experiences and about people's perceptions and judgments when you don't have children, particularly when you're 35. And it's kind of expected, like, I've been having the comments really since like mid-20s. It's like a decade of the comments and the, you know, well, when is it your turn? And yeah, all the stuff that gets thrown on you, particularly as a woman, and what that's like when you're struggling with fertility issues and the experiences with IVF and just kind of a bit of everything, a bit kind of an open, here's my experiences, because I was really grateful for other people's stories that they'd shared during that week. And I think, like with anything, that sharing and that sense of community just makes you feel less alone with stuff. So I shared it, and I'll share it below if anyone wants to read it. And then we were into October, which was my 5th wedding anniversary, and I had a night away with my husband, Liam, in a hotel. It was a spa hotel, had a nice chill and a relax. It was only one night, but it was a lovely night. We had a lovely 3-course meal, all vegan, because I haven't written down that I went vegetarian and I can't eat dairy, so I mostly eat vegan anyway, now that I'm vegetarian, if that makes sense. But anyway, they had a lovely, lovely vegan menu, all with like 3 courses and 3 options for each course. And when you've got dietary requirements of different kinds, it's very rare for you to get choice. Or like more often than not, you don't get dessert unless it's a fruit salad. So to actually have proper meals and like proper choice, and it was really lovely. It was just so fab. Liam was unwell, bless him, but we still had a lovely time. Then I went to see another show. I went to see Annie with my mum. That was really good. I met up with some old friends, and then we officially started our adoption journey, which has been fab. It's hard work. There's a lot to do, a lot of hoops to jump through, not in a negative way, but things you've got to show, things you've got to prove, things you've got to do. We're currently drowning in paperwork. We've been going on training the last 4 Mondays and a random Tuesday. It's time consuming, but we don't mind doing it because it's what we want to do, obviously. But it's, thrown up some new challenges in terms of the juggling of the work, the personal, and then this added thing, which I know is probably nothing compared to when you actually have a child, but we don't have a child. Yeah, just like all of a sudden it's like, boom, there's all these things to do, whereas you would have at least known you were pregnant, if you know what I mean. I'm waffling. Hopefully you understand what I mean. But it's been really great. We've got a fab social worker. The people on the training have been lovely. We've met some other lovely couples, and people have put us in touch with other couples. Like other adopters have shared their experiences with us, and it's just, for all the late nights doing paperwork, it's just going to be so worth it when we get to, well, I was going to say the end of the journey, but really that'll be the proper start of the journey, won't it? This time next year, life could look very, very different. So watch this space. I had a week away with my mum for her birthday. I went to a hotel that did loads of crafts there on site, and you booked yourself onto different craft workshops, and we tried so many different things, as well as just having fun, hanging out and spending time together. So it was really, really good. We came back and saw Hamilton, so I got to see another show, and Hamilton is an amazing musical. I'd obviously heard really good things about it, but not had the chance to see it. And I know that you can watch it on Disney Plus, but I didn't want to watch it before I could properly watch it live. So I didn't, and then we went and I was blown away. And then we started our adoption training in the November, and we were supposed to finish today, but Liam's caught COVID, so I will be finishing it in January instead. And then at the start of December, Liam had relatives over from America, and we spent some time with them, which again, difficult in terms of work, personal, adoption stuff. And then you want to see these people for as much as you can because they're only in England for a week and we don't know when we'll see them again. We hadn't seen them for 4 years because of COVID and the lockdowns. Yeah, you want to see them as much as possible during that week, but there's only so many hours in the day. But the time we spent with them was lovely. And we were both really grateful for that, to be able to spend that time with them. We managed to see them 3 separate occasions, and it was really nice. And now we're here. So when you kind of mesh the two together, it's a lot going on and a lot to juggle, and it has been a busy year. And while I'm really proud of all the things I've done, I'm really happy with all the memories I've made, the experiences I've had, the places I've been, the people I've met, just all those things. What immediately jumps out at me is you cannot keep up this pace, particularly if you have a child on the way, even though it's not on the way. And so that is going to influence moving forward. I don't regret this year at all, how it's played out. I think it's been fab. But next year's map can't look like this. And there needs to be more balance. And so mulling all that over, I think I know what my word of the year is going to be. But I'm not going to tell you today. So you're going to have to come back, because I'm going to be doing a series of these videos where I show you how I am reflecting on 2023 and getting myself ready for 2024. So like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're not already, so that you can see the rest of these videos when they come out. And let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this video, if you're looking forward to seeing more, if you give this activity a go. I would love to either for you to tag me in it if you share a picture, or just let me know that you've done it and how you got on with it and what your thoughts were. I love that when people give things a go and let me know how it's gone. And just thank you for joining me on this recap of my year, this trip down memory lane, which I wasn't expecting to go into so much detail about, but it's actually been thoroughly enjoyable and useful in thinking what I want more and less of in 2024. So I will see you very soon for another video. If you want to be the first to see these, then my patrons always get early access, as well as a whole bunch of other fab rewards and our lovely community space where we chat and hang out. That's from £3 a month, and I'm going to leave the details down below. You can even get a free trial to give it a go and see if it's something you would like. So thank you so much. I'm going to stop waffling and let you get on with your days. Bye!